What's up, guys? This is Juggalo V here, and obviously from the title, this is going to be a review of the film It. Now, what I'm going to do is go through the technical aspects first, and then I am going to go through the characters, the plot, all while discussing the pros and cons of each. Then at the end, I'm going to discuss about some other YouTubers' opinions and the opinions of the majority. So it's going to be a nice little full entree. So the first technical aspect thing about all of this is the gamma. The film was pretty goddamn dark. I did not expect it to be a little hard to see, just a little bit from pieces here and there. But I would say as the film progressed, it was a lot cleaner. Now, one of the other gripes that I have is the CG. The background CG is a bit off-putting. When you see Pennywise in certain scenes here and there, it feels just a little off, just a little bit, and you'll see it when you'll see what I'm talking about, essentially. But I would say overall the CG is passable, nothing too crazy, and woo, when they use that practical effects, woo, it's really a killer. And what's great about the Billy character is that he's simply just a bloodhound looking for blood. At first, he's trying to find, where his brother's body is, and then it leads him to, this clown that's been screwing with everyone, and then he has to go and try and kill the clown. He's got a very, very narrow tunnel vision, which I believe is one of the best attributes that they could have given this character, which totally phenomenal. Totally phenomenal. Beverly was really in second in command of the Losers Club. It was just amazing how she was just, let's do this, let's do that, no fear, no fear, no pain. So the one thing that really bugs me about Bev's character is that the whole town has this weird grudge against her, and it's like, what do you have against her? It's just these rumors that she supposedly sleeps around with all the boys in the world, but there's no real evidence to it. I think maybe because she has some extreme daddy issues, the way they portray her dad, they strip the whole religious aspect, which is really good, especially since it takes place in the 80s. So, new era, new rules, just everything fresh. And since they stripped away her father's, religious bit, he becomes sort of this child molester. He somehow, in some way, touched Bev, and they don't clearly say it, but they sure as hell hinted at it. Very subtle. And it's pretty, it adds a layer of character, not only for Bev, but for this town to be so upset at her. Another great character, Ben, which is the fat kid. He looks a little weird or off-putting to me, but that could just be because my glasses are fucked up. So no real negative feelings, no real harsh judgments. It's just, I don't know. He seems pretty fine, very passable. But what I love about this character, this actor, is that there's a love triangle that cements a lot harder compared to the original. And the original's kind of nodded, hey, you like her, alright. With this one, it's completely different. It's more of, he loves her and she loves Bill, But Bill, he's so distracted, trying to find out where Georgie's body is and who this clown is, and let's kill the motherfucker. He's tunnel vision. And so you got this fantastic dynamic, love triangle dynamic. And it, again, just a great layer of how to work these kids around, and how, very grounded, very logistical. And so that's the one thing I love about Ben, is that he steps up when he has to, but usually when he has to, it's for Beverly. And there is a scene in the end where she's up there floating, and they get her down, and Ben, he fucking steals first base. And so after he hits the first base, they recite the poem to each other, and like, so maybe Beverly does have feelings for Ben. Yay! So the one issue that I have with Ben is that he's always getting cut up, and like when he cuts up, it's like, how deep is the wound? Because like he gets like sliced here and there, and I'm not trying to exaggerate, but his belly gets cut up 3 times. His belly gets cut up 3 times. It's phenomenal. It's weird. It's crazy. So one of the things I love about this Richie character, the way he's being portrayed, fantastic. A lot less annoying compared to the original, which is pretty goddamn good. Now, in this one, a lot of jokes. He's more of a smartass, and just the kid from Stranger Things. Goddamn, he's great. I would love to see him act more again. Keep him in that stride. Now, the running gag they have for Richie is whenever they go somewhere, he's always keeping an eye out and whatnot. So for me, it kind of seems like, so I guess this is the time when he's filming Stranger Things. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading into it that much. When he's just always, set aside. And Richie doesn't really interact with it for the most part in the film, which kind of, leads me to believe he was on another set. But I would say that was one of the stranger things. So now we're gonna move on to the bullies and whatnot. And what's great about these bullies is that they're all very grounded, they seem pretty real to me, very genuine. And since we're in the 80s, they got the rockin' mullet and all this other stuff. When the bullies are cutting up Ben, I thought it was kind of weird and goofy that the fat bully is also picking on the fat kid. Like, okay, but when Henry Bowers is about to cut him up, or when he actually does cut him up, the fat bully is like, what are you doing? No, bro, that's too serious, bro. I think that might be a traumatizing event that fat kid himself has suffered. And I don't know. Or maybe it's just it's too far to use a knife to cut a fat kid open. Whatever. There's a very great scene in there that I'm pretty sure a good majority of people are gonna say they love it, or they've already spoken about it. But there's a scene in there that involves Henry, the main bully, and his father. His father is actually the cop. Not really the sheriff, but like a high-ranking police officer in the fucking town. And so what's great about that is that his father shows how much of a little bitch his son is in front of the other bullies, because Henry is like, oh, I'm a badass, this and that, watch me shoot, brah, brah, brah. And then his father comes up to him, and it's such a great scene. I'm not gonna spoil it. It's fantastic with what happens next. So it adds such a deeper uh, level, a deeper layer of this bully character. Now here is something that kind of was kind of hitting me in the head every single time, and that thing is, what age group are these kids in? Because I know the Losers Club, all these boys, they're, I guess, 11. I really don't see them as high schoolers. They're kind of like middle age, which is why I kind of see some of the boys are younger than the others, while the others look older than. It's a bit of a mixed match. It's kind of weird in that sense. So I don't know if all these kids are supposed to be in middle school or if it's supposed to be a high school, because uh, Bev, she smokes cigarettes. I don't necessarily remember, or even if it's a fucking trope of like middle schoolers to like smoke cigarettes. Like, okay, sure, maybe. But another thing that was pretty goddamn weird was that these middle school children, do they drive? Cause the bullies, they're driving in a fucking Mustang. It's crazy as fuck. I was stunned. I was, the brakes were hitting every time they came out, and it was so weird. I'm like, okay, what if the bullies flunk twice? Instead of them being 14 in the eighth grade, they're probably 16. But then it's like, holy fuck, you're 16 and you're in the eighth grade. You drive a car? Like, really, what the hell is going on? What is the age group that we're working with? So now we're gonna talk about some of the plot points, even though they may have been skimmed through in the beginning of the characters. But anyway, there was some foreshadowing, at least that I thought so. Little tidbits here and there. Billy is riding a bike, and they show Billy's bike, a very huge close up, multiple times too. And it says silver, and I'm thinking, oh, so it's in the original. They use silver to slingshot Pennywise. So I'm like, oh, okay, so we're gonna see the whole silver trick again. No, that never happens. So I'm keeping this in mind, and then in the end, they never bring up silver whatsoever. So it's like, well, you just ruined my expectations. Fuck you. How dare you bring this foreshadowing shit and then not deliver? But whatever. A minor thing. Now, the other spicy little things here and there is that on television, there's like this woman who's with a bunch of kids, and they're all kind of subliminally, saying, "Yo, Flo, come and meet Pennywise the dancing clown." I just love that subtlety. So I recently watched the Nostalgia Critics review, little baby review with his brother Rob, about how the film kind of changes its tone, here and there, and it feels very drastic. I think, at least for me, they kind of exaggerated just a tad bit, because it's only for a brief moment that tone kind of shifts, and I totally agree with them on, at least on that point. Another point, Doug was speaking about on how they could have used an extra minute or two on certain scenes, especially in the beginning. And my take is, if they sort of remove some of the tonal changes that were happening throughout the film, maybe if they kind of snip that out and just use that extra time for some of the other scenes that could have used that's that free minute. I would say let's go for it. Let's see what we can come up with. One of the other things that was said in that piece was that Rob felt that he had a moment. There's a scene where it's an abandoned house and some of the kids went in to locate this well to, find the clown. And Pennywise comes in, does some of this goofy shit. Okay, so maybe it's not really goofy shit, but it definitely gives off a little bit of the vibes of Evil Dead. So I can totally see where he's coming from with that point. So the Cinemas for Cynics, which features TJ and Paul. Now, their gripe about this film is more of it's very lenient on the source material, which it's very understandable. Like, I'm sure it deviates it hard as hell. Mainly because it's set in the 80s instead of the 50s, and like I said earlier and before, it's a new era and a new set of rules are being played. So, sorry. Sorry. So one of the main talking points that I definitely agree with them is that Mike in the book, and he's used as a tool for that racism is bad, and being a black kid in a white town, it represent the bigotry of that town, and it's not really emphasized or mentioned at all. I think it has a very minor, brush stroke of, hey black kid, get the black out. It's very minor, but I understand their gripe about it. How it's how the character itself is now useless, because what point do you have him there? And sure, I guess he may not have a point, but damn it, he's got the weapons. He's got the tools to take down the motherfucking clown. The one thing I will disagree with them is that they thought the bully was two-dimensional. I would definitely fire back and say, no, your perspective, I believe, is wrong. So fucking civil. But yeah, I'd say they're definitely in the wrong, simply because of the level of depth and character between the father of being a cop and basically put his ass down and say, you think you're tough shit? Well, guess what? You're really not. Quit being such a, quit being such an asshole, son. So now we come to the end of the video, and I would like to thank you for your time watching, and also as well as your feedback. Now, I do have a Patreon account open, ready to go. So, hope to see y'all there.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. It's not that scary.
It's not that scary.
Scary monkey. Scary baby.